A very good afternoon to everyone present in this webinar. I am Pranjali from 4th year, College of Architecture, SVIT Vasad. I cordially welcome our speaker for the day, Architect Ravi Sharma. I also extend a heartiest welcome to all the fellow attendees in this webinar. Our college has come up with various webinar series during this COVID-19 pandemic on diverse topics like landscape architecture, conservation architecture, GIS, products and furniture design, essence of architecture, architectural education, insights of real estate valuation, and alumni series. And now we are continuing the alumni series. Today we have architect Ravi Sharma who will be sharing insights on avenues in architecture. I request our Professor Taha Padrawala to address the webinar and give us a glimpse of our college.
On behalf of SAAA Alumni Association, I would like to welcome Ravi Sharma. We famously known him as Ravi or Ravi Bhaiya on this online platform. Our alumni have brought this glory to our institute in many ways. They have set examples of being a successful and a good human being. I extend my warm regards to every member of our alumni present in this webinar. I also acknowledge the presence of our principal sir, Sailesh Nair, Pragnesh sir, Ashwin sir, Pallavi Madam ma'am, Vigna ma'am, and all the faculties of COSVIT Vasad. The main intention of this alumni webinar series is to promote healthy interaction between our alumni young students. Before I give this platform to Ravi Bhaiya, I would like to show a few glimpses of our college.
Thank you, Taha sir. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce architect Ravi Sharma. Sir is SVIT alumni, completed his bachelor's in 2008. He did his specialization on urban transport planning and management (MPlan) from Center for Environmental Planning and Technology, SEPT University. He has his expertise in research and consultancy in areas related to architecture, urban and regional planning, transportation, infrastructure planning, urban design, and academics. His research works are published in many national and international publications. He worked as an architect and urban planner with Sistra Group, formerly known as Sai Consulting Engineers Private Limited. He has also worked on various other large-scale projects funded by Asian Development Bank and DFID UK. He started his consultancy in 2013 and worked on various projects of architecture and infrastructure planning. Currently, he is working as an architect and planner at Adani Airports. It is my sheer pleasure and absolute honor to welcome architect Ravi Sharma to this virtual platform. The dais is yours, sir.
Thanks a lot. Thank you all. First of all, thanks to the coordinating committee for this webinar series, Principal Sir. And dear student, thanks a lot for inviting me here. Should I need to keep the camera on in case?
Yes, please, if you.
Okay. So, am I visible to you guys?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. So it's a pleasure, and again, things are getting green again, and very much nostalgic for me. The time when I saw this building again, and thanks a lot for giving this platform and having this conversation. So I'll start in a way that it was the time when the coordinating committee actually called up and they asked for this series for students specifically, and me and Taha were into a conversation that what should be the topic exactly for this, cause nowadays webinar and information is quite frequent because IT is something different what it was like, let's say 15-18 years back. So again, coming up with your professional work and actually is not the thing what an architecture student require anymore, because data is abundant in GBs. So we decided to have something more into the inner circle of the profession and much to the practical aspects of profession, and through the lens of someone who has actually gone through with different kind of jobs and works and different stuff. So here the actual point was to highlight the kind of exposure, the different type of exposure, the variable senses of experience what I had in this, let's say, total of 12 years of after graduation. So avenues, so guys, please don't get confused if you seek the word avenue, because it is not related to landscape or anything in urban design, but it is more about the architecture as a profession, and the kind of let's say things which happen in college, in work, in different scope of works, till the time you are into your, let's say, middle age of profession. So coming back to the presentation, uh, okay, so again, when architecture comes in, the whole nostalgic episode of Vasad comes into the picture, and the era of 2003 to 8 is just like it happened a day before yesterday, and it still feels the fresh and same. Uh, so thank you once again. Thanks a lot for bringing me here with the juniors, with all friends, and thanks a lot again. So here we go. As I said, avenues. So avenues, let's say it is more about approaching a problem or making a progress. Here, when I made it very clear, quite into the early part of the presentation, that it is not about a typical presentation of work, what I'm up to and what I'm doing. We can have one later on, but as of now, let's keep it onto the very practical aspect of the profession, because architecture, AR.architecture is what we are hearing from a very long time. So it makes a difference. So approaching a problem and making progress towards something. So this is what we are talking as avenues here. And approach is huge. Right from the time you enter, you spend your 5 years, and then you go for your specialization or your practice or your job or anything. But what matters here is the word, that is progress and excelling into your career, your life. Taha said one thing, a good person, right? So this is what we are seeking avenues as in architecture here. So here I will be discussing, I'll be talking about my timeline right from the day one when I entered into the college, let's say the first year, till date today, in whatever, the timeline, what I can split it into, very much relevant to the typical resume or curricular why do we have. So this is how it all starts. If you talk about my journey of understanding the avenues in architecture. Uh, so I am a 2008 graduate, straight from the batch 4 of SVIT. And yes, I was quite clear right from the fourth and fifth year of the college that I need to do something in urban environment. So I targeted SEPT right from the beginning. I had an exposure of urban environment initially, but then I tried to mix whole stuff, and I excelled for the large scale architecture project what I always wanted to do, and apparently I'm there. Seems like. Uh, once again, one of the best faculty we ever had. An architect should have good observation skill, and this sentence has actually made a very huge difference. Uh, let's say the way I perceive things nearby, the way I look at problems in society, in profession, even at my work, even as an architect, as a practice, overall, even as a human being. So observation is what actually matters, and a good observer is always an excellent architect. So getting back onto the topic, here these the five bullets are actually the 5 years, and I just tried to um, name 1 year into a single word. Sounds impossible, but I tried. So I like to expand them and try and understand that how and with like what we meant out of it. Mm, it is visible. Hello, anyone?
Hello. Yes, Arabia.
Yeah, yeah. Is it visible?
Yes, yes, visible.
Okay. Yeah. The only problem is that I'm not able to see you guys, and it is just like I'm talking to a screen. So, anyways, I hope that the hierarchy of students what we are having today, and even if the seniors or junior interaction is still the same, I think this if this can be communicated will definitely help anyone. Uh, so, upskill is how I define the first step, the stepping stone in architecture, I would say. And this was a time when I actually met people of different culture from different region of India, let's say, and that was the time where you actually identified that what kind of guy you need to be if you want to sustain into this course of 5 years. Because before that, I wasn't much aware about the course at all. That what it takes. I think the best drawings or the best sketches I ever made in my life was the exam known as SATA, State Level Test in Architecture, and I think that was the only day. And then later I realized that we seriously need to have some good skills in presentation, in imagination, even in explaining things. The innovative factor in yourself, skilling yourself to have knowledge of materials, have knowledge of history, have knowledge of things going around. So architecture, of course, as we all know by now, that if you draw a circle and just you start writing words, humanities, art, of course, art, humanities, technology, it's engineering, materials, society, everything, it just connects, the whole system goes into this connection of architecture. So upskilling was the first thing which I kind of understood when the first year was about to get end. And yes, I was the 40th one when the first semester actually ended. So good to understand. So there was at least 39 reasons before me to upskill myself at least. And of course, then it was the inspiration where you are into the subject and now you know how things work, what architecture actually is. And that is a time you have idols and you have inspiration. Uh, there is a time you start understanding the language of design. You're thorough with your basic principles and elements of architecture and design. The third year, I would say, the competition where you guys are through a bit of understanding of architecture, at least in academics, and all of them after a time of, let's say, a trial and error, or let's say the iteration of 2 years, you all guys are up to a certain platform, and the technicalities of subjects starts coming in. Let's say the working drawing, for example, or how the building will be actually executed, um, the application of building construction into design, and many other things. Then the year when you're just returning from your professional experience, the internship of 6 months, and everyone is kind of architect already by that time. And this is a time when people are quite clear that okay, this is what I want to do. after my 5 years. And then it is the fifth year, very much interested onto your objectives, thesis, something what you want to just conclude out of the learning of your whole 4.5 years, and also trying to have a way forward for the same, so that you seek out for your post graduation or your practice, or let's say practice with some architect or someone. So I think this is how I actually look back on my 5 years of architecture, and this is how I can, the best what I can do, compiling them in all 5 years in one slide was this. I think it makes sense. So this was the next thing after architecture what I did, and of course I was quite clear with my interest in urban environment, that I want to get into. I want to get into some environment is actually, and what is the market, and are you actually sure that you want to do this? And there were different other reasons as well. Same time, exploration in case that now when I'm working as a research associate somewhere, and I also have knowledge of architecture with me, so kind of application of my architectural knowledge. So that was the time I initially started with few of the projects, and in that 1 year of that 1 year between my graduation and post graduation, I attempted a few small scale projects, and few, let's say only two, not few, only two. One was an architectural project, and one was an interior project, interior design project. So, and then learnings for future endeavor, exploring opportunities by that time. So whatever you can feel like, and future endeavors, like what you want to do. As I said, that the focus was straight on urban environment, if possible, large scale, urban inserts of the city. Uh, so this was the 1 year when the thing was, let's say, quite particular, even not 100% sure about things, but at least clear with the area of interest. So this is the place where things actually changed, and many of the the factors which impacts came into existence. So beside the design and drawing and having this whole humanities in your understanding, uh, planning itself also gave perspective towards stats. So this was the time after 6 years. Actually, like we do had structures and exam, but I was the one who had backs and structures. So statistics were there, finance was there. So again, a big number game was there. But on same time, you were enlightened with the policies which were going around, the development which was actually happening in your neighborhood, and you wasn't aware that what kind of science and the whole efforts it take for execution, and the nearby urban issues that you see it on daily basis, but you haven't actually thought about the whole, let's say, the system which is working out for it, the ease or the unease, that how that the road is actually constructed in front of your house, or how the sanitation system works of your city. And on same time, the other thing what I got was the exposure because of the batch. It was a variety. SEPT being a good institution, you had people from various renowned institutes of India, from different culture, from different backgrounds. The faculties was of course amazing, and this is the the basic constituent of a good uh, of a good institute is actually like this, the batch and the faculty. So, and also the internship, and that was the first kind of corporate experience that I had, very much related to infrastructure development and finance and everything. So that was the time where my thinking from architecture was okay, like kind of stopped at somewhere, and I was more into this bigger thing, but more up to that, you know, the things which are more much into ambient into nature, but not very near to design and all. So still, it was getting tough to get acknowledged with this urban environment studies, and but still, though it was good, you were kind of interested already into this thing. But as I said, that you anticipate, you expect that this is how things will go, but actually it doesn't go like this. And this is quite typical. It happens all the time. So it was the first job in 2011, and mm, this was the time where all the knowledge and whatever skills you kind of had from from your past 7 8 years, for the time to apply into the workplace, and let's say the first kind of a typical job for you. So uh, yes, it happens that it is, but the way uh, how I think that one should perceive it, that it is not just a job, but it can be a part of your overall vision and how you look at a system specifically. It goes for each and every place. It goes for your college as well. It goes for any organization. Let's say the firm, even the smaller firm where you had your internship. So you need to understand the business, and even if you practice or even if you do your job, but understanding such factors matters a lot. So on same time, this the consultancy of mine, it is SAI. It is not SAI, first of all. So it is SAI Consulting, and it was initially it was based in America, and then they had one business in India based in Ahmedabad. So they were having many different sectors, like transportation and water supply was very amazing already, and these guys were having international projects on such infrastructure, assignments. But on same time, project management was upcoming thing, like let's say back 10 years back, and it was into our organization, and that was the first time when I was working with variety of people. Like rather than architects, there were electrical engineers, there were mechanical engineers, there were structural engineers, the one who values, estimates, one who calculates the quantity, and the team was vibrant, and we all were managed by some good corporate guys, the MBAs, and the boss was actually just a BSc guy, to be very blunt about it. So again, the time and it comes into mind that what how actually education and skill decides about your overall endeavor of your career. So that is not in a way that he was just a graduate or normal graduate, but it is more about much to learn from that person, that what makes such kind of skilled professional. And another objective, as I said, that working or having a job is one part, and the second part is much about understanding that how this mechanism, how that system works, and this is what I actually focused on right from the beginning, that how things are actually working. By that time, I never decided that what I'll do. So for me, by that time, a boy of 27, 28 years, and I was into a nice job. So I was just going through. But now when I look back, I see that okay, there were a few things that I actually observed, and of course, the organization, you are like upcoming architects of the region, possibly the country, and there should be something, that brand associated with you. So the kind of culture you carry along with you, and how these organization works, from where they get projects, and how everything goes. So I tried understanding the whole thing, the working methodology, and how payment comes and how payment goes, and what about the salaries of people, what about what HR do, what finance do, what admin do. So there were different segments of a good organization. I just tried to understand. So even beside work, I think as I said initially, the observation. So the observation part is this is what I'm talking about. You need to take care of things which are going around, you know, uh, even outside your business circle. So that was something which was intangible and up to me, and how I was taking it. And on the same time, if we talk about the work, I was there for 2 years, and these were few things, and one of them was the Srinagar master plan on which I worked. It was the hardcore physical planning my department there, that organization, Bharuch Ankleshwar Urban Development Authority. Various development plans in Madhya Pradesh and town planning schemes across Gujarat. So no doubt, for 2 years, the experience was quite good. I had interacted with many government officials, let's say right from class 1 to 5th, and the hierarchy of dealing with people was variable, and it was kind of an experience by itself. And that was the time you start realizing that okay, this is how things actually go, and you're capable enough to do things. So of course, that first job was very much motivating, but on same time, and it gets quite standard, and it happens that first job for a longer duration or shorter duration, I wouldn't comment on that. But yes, there are some issues with everyone in their first job. whatever be the point. Okay, so there were a few motivating factors for me, that how and what I need to, look. I look at myself after, let's say, 5 years down the line, and that was the time when startup, bubble was there in the environment, and every next guy. And yeah, though if you're in Gujarat, of course, the every next guy is actually working on his own. Like very less of the crowd is actually having a job like me. Most of my friends are actually entrepreneurs and having their own businesses, their own practices. So okay, this thing came into my mind as well by the time that okay, I should be self-employed rather. Like if you have skills and everything. So I took that part, and okay, so quitting the job in 2013 was one thing I did, and by that time it just happened through some networking and all. I had one project in Jaipur, and some developments were coming up, so I just felt that okay, I can move out, and even I need to look around and have exposure of some other places as well. So I moved to Jaipur. So in 2013 I was in Jaipur, and yes, I also took it in that way that competition is of course is so much in Ahmedabad comparatively. It is mecca of architecture, modern architecture. So of course, Jaipur is quite laid back and काम चल सकता है वहाँ पे. So this was also one of the things I kind of analyzed, and yes, it was on target. Uh, and beside that, it is not like that on day one you will have Taj Mahal into your hand and you'll having an advance of 10 lakh rupees. So it doesn't go like that. So of course the economics comes in, and on same time also explored my interest areas of interest, and academics I had planned but not so initially, but just to keep the money cycle running. I felt that okay, academics is something what can be taken up, but on same time, as I said, the upscaling yourself, on same time when academics, I went with academics, I felt that okay, you need to get into different expertise. Like just going into college and teaching will not make sense for a longer time. Okay, so just a second. Yeah. So as an independent consultant, I did. I was into architecture. I was into research, and I did various urban environment projects. Typically, the nature of work in Jaipur is very much still into making residences, individual and private residences. The volume is quite good there. Uh, Not just like Ahmedabad or that typical city from Gujarat, where the group housing is into fashion because of the land economics and infrastructure. So I majorly worked on residential and industrial projects for like these 5 years, and even I made few offices and showrooms, but not in case of interior design. I repeat, only in context of architecture and let's say interior architecture for some extent. Uh, Housing, a few housing project, but that was a totally research oriented project. It was specifically for government of Madhya Pradesh, and then few urban inserts, let's say some large scale architecture projects which actually pitched in very much related to landscape, urban design, and also architecture. So one was a zoo in MP, and another one was smart cities, where I was consultant for let's say the sub consultant for the major consultants for smart cities. So these were few highlighting things, and when urban infrastructure. So okay, things are good. Where in particular of few projects, I'd like to explain that these projects were funded by some organizations, and they need to have that validation that is thing going right into the direction what these guys have planned. So there were like big 4 or 5, the management consultant are actually involved in that, and they need some third party kind of assurance to validate they go to things are going in this direction. So few of these projects were related in for of that fashion. So uh, beside this, the only thing which matters that how it all happened was I never assumed or neither expected that things will go in this direction. But yes, I was quite constant on few areas what I had already, let's say, in my mind from the previous experiences of my job, and I was quite clear about the point that how work can be bought because my I was not from that a typical business background. So networking, of course, as one of the alumni, like pre-presentation back, focused on same thing. Collaboration is of course one of a good idea where a team of two or three friends, or let's say senior juniors, can actually come up with some, you know, uh, with execution of the individual skills for some great outcomes. Empanelment is a, let's say, people do know, but what I have observed here, that people are very much focused on the private sector, rather than getting into the public sector, or let's say the state governments or even the central governments, because things are also quite easy there. And the fourth thing, what I did back in 2014 was that I registered myself for some tenders, newsletter, like tender tigers and all. So the project what I showed here, Zoo at Ryerson MP, they didn't had any qualification criteria. They just wanted an architect registered by Council of Architecture. That's it. And he should have one biologist or some environmental guy into his team. And there were three competitors for this project, and let's say we were the flawless winner of that project. So sometimes things are so easy, but we are not ready to look at those directions. So I would suggest to these young buds, like in coming years, uh, there is ample amount of work available in system. You just need to look around, and you just need to explore it, and you just need to take it and take it. It is actually easy. Let me tell you one thing. It is actually easy. And on same time, as I said, upskilling yourself matters all the time. So academics, so it just can't happen that okay, you're in college and also you're operating your office, because then you're not able to focus, or let's say it is not 100% of the part. uh, so in that manner, we started doing things, and I had few of my good friends for which I started writing papers. So initial 2 years, 3 years, I wasn't much aware about the paper, and I just felt that it is a big task to do. But once it started, I ended up writing 5 6 papers, and few articles were and also the knowledge required for the academic industry what you have. So it goes straight away to the friends who are actually there in academics or planning to go into academics. So upgrading yourself all the time matters a lot, and interacting with professional is a great deal. I think you have your faculties in front of you as a very good example. To be honest, even if I try to criticize, but I'm not actually finding any point there, because the faculties at my college are actually doing very good. Thank you, guys. Okay, so this is where thing was, you know, when when I when I kind of uh, exploited my whole skills and the all the parameters of my experiences, that what I can do and all. But as things are not planned, so I had some certain reasons, and I had few health issues. So because of that, I wasn't able to operate them much more. So back in 2018, I kind of you know uh, pulled the brake on my practice, and I minimized my whole practice there, and I started looking for something more in academics. But on same time, because of course the economics, because Jaipur works in full different pattern typically, and being from Ahmedabad, it was my home turf. So luckily, I got this opportunity in the current organization where I'm working, and of course the opportunity was very good. So quite lucky to have it as well. Uh, so there were a few factors which kind of took me straight away, and it was uh, getting into this scale what you always wanted to, like that actual urban insert which impacts not only your city but the whole region per se. The complex nature, let's say the services, the involvement of transportation, public transport, private transport, the flyers, non-flyers, the technology, aeroplanes landing and moving up. So, and the commercial nature, because this is how the airports run. They are itself a kind of mall. Uh, I'm sure you must have visited Mumbai and Delhi, of course. And this is how the operating model of airports work these days. If you guys need some real insider on airports, let's say even in terms of architecture and business and as a project, we can again put up a session. So we can talk to our faculties regarding that. And on same time, like keeping the technical and learning aspect of the job, or let's say the site. The other part is the organization, and the place where I work right now. So there are so many things to learn, because it is not only about you, but it's also about your seniors, your colleagues, and even in such great organization like such big, big conglomerate like Adani. There is a lot to learn from promoters as well. And just looking at yourself in such big ecosystem is actually, it's actually very fascinating. And and things are actually like that, what you have kind of imagined of promoters of such scale. And things are huge, where thousands, where things are of thousands and crores all the time. But it doesn't mean that I am always onto those nice buildings and working on some nice canopies and nice building shells of airports, what we see. Because currently I'm just making an office of 250 square feet in the Terminal 1 in Ahmedabad. So things are not that good always. No, the work is always good, but okay, not that vibrant. So these are the few projects on which I'm working these days. And as we all are aware about this, the business, what Adani Airport, whether just though we are up to the the end portion of this webinar. I don't know, like what was the last thing what we had in communication. Did I explain my scope here? Taha? Did you guys heard that?
No, no.
No. Okay, so I think last where everything got off was the sites where I work nowadays, and there's a lot of traveling as well. Uh, so my proper scope is the design management of the architectural processes going around in the business. And let's say we are the one who initiate this, the one who rolls the whole process, and right from preparation of conceptual layouts in response to the demand which is coming up from the other stakeholder of the businesses, the one who are taking care of operations, the one who are taking care of finance and accounts, and like so many others. So the requirement is coming up by the users, and accordingly we come up with concepts that how the building should come up, like with the responding towards the requirement coming up in the later stage. Like we'll come up with some new terminal building for not new terminal building, but terminal expansion for Ahmedabad in, let's say, 24 somewhere, which will work till 27, 37. And then again we'll need some construction sort of thing. So here things are again very much in context to the planning background, where numbers are responding onto the area requirements and the development requirements. So for the same thing, but as I said, that the scope is very much relevant to the design management. So at certain stage we stop where we are thorough and clear as per our business need, that this is what we want, and let's say clear enough to make the consultant understand. So as of now, we are working with Zaha in Navi Mumbai Airport, and yeah, SOM, and yeah, all these guys also worked in Mumbai Airport as well. Uh, so on same time, but mm, right now we are taking care of Ahmedabad, and okay, things are not like too much of in high scale all the time. And currently I'm making an office, so I'm creating few partitions and putting wooden floor uh, into the terminal 1 of Ahmedabad. So okay, the nature of work is there right from 15 square meter to 15,000 square meter, and it goes till like 1,50,000 square meter. So the variety is of course very much interesting and challenging as well, where you have different your team members with you helping the the talent of engineers, civil engineers, electrical engineers, and the complexity of building comes in. Like it is very much MEP oriented, and you have so much technicalities and things which are involved in terms of operation and running the building successfully. There are so many terminologies which gets in, and the standards, of course, the safety protocols and security protocols are international standard in this industry. So getting into this new thing was, of course, very much overwhelming for me as well. And I thank my college, of course, for the knowledge imparted to me and the opportunity of you know uh, of those 5 years learning architecture, and let's say being there where I am. Thanks a lot. So I conclude with this experience of my 17 years for today. Possibly see you soon. Thank you. Taha.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Pranjal, please.
Now we open this webinar for a round of question and answers.
To dear students, I just want to mention it that I have been into academics actively and I do miss it sometime. Just throw a question, please. Any doubt, any question, anything related to, whatever. The present, your academic works, or any doubt or any vision you have for yourself in the coming years.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask what would be the, now we are in the COVID situation. So what would be the post-COVID architecture like, or what could be the specifically for the airports?
Okay. Okay, so of course we all knew that this era of COVID has, had made things very much troublesome for most of the industries, and the way you guys have perceived your, you kind of evolved and transformed of taking education from the college online. But similarly, one can't travel. Being the induced demand, you just can't travel online. So airports are specifically working on, let's say, the minimal contacts of a passenger, the direct interaction of authorities, because in India what happens, you at least go through 4 security points, and it happens in India, and at few other places it is just 1 and somewhere 2. So things are quite different when we talk about airport architecture and here. So now we are minimizing the contacts of individuals, first of all. And airport is just a building, but the second part is the operation, how the airlines work, because airport is just a port for movement of aeroplanes. So the airline is the second phase, because once the plane leaves, okay, though the responsibility is there, but still, it is very much, contained into a vessel made of metal. So airport are focusing on less contacts. Let's say the passenger baggage system will be very much self-operated. You guys will just go there and you will put their bags and you'll scan it, and you'll put the stickers by yourself. And the web check-in will be mandatory later on. Though things are still manual in this shape, the quantity of baggage will be changed at some point of time. And right now what has happened after COVID is the kind of users has, let's say, the fluctuation, even the type of users, I would say. Like initially the users were of something, let's say, economic category, to be very precise. Sorry to use that word, but now after COVID, the users have changed drastically, because the cities, the larger construction projects, which were kind of stuck in between, again wanted the same labor force which was required, and I saw laborers traveling through flights in this duration. So the kind of users are also changing. So it is not just only about building, but there is a army of with a variety of users already. Yeah.
Okay, so any more questions from the students? You can just type in the chat box, or maybe you can unmute yourself and talk to sir directly.
You guys can, if anyone is looking up at airport as like coming in even thesis or even as area of interest, or even if you guys want to go through it as an academic need, just we can have another session anytime, only focusing on airport, because this time I don't wanted it to be on academics, because I feel like you guys have been buzzed from past 3-4 months having webinars on knowledge and architecture all the time. So I just took a chance to have something out of the drift, and I took my pleasure as well.
I think students are clear. We can uh, conclude the session. Esha ma'am, Silas sir, if you want to say something.
Yes, sir, please.
Yeah, it was a nice session. You have gone through the lot of concepts and everything about the method, but I feel that you have given a jury without drawings.
Yeah.
Because our students are mostly used with drawings and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it was a nice session. Thank you, Ravi, for having come to this platform and shown your apprehensions about architecture. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, sir. My pleasure. And thank you for calling me here. Thank you. Thank you once again.
Yes, Esha, you can conclude the session with the vote of thanks.
Yes, thank you, Pranjali, for the wonderful MOC. I thank architect Ravi Sharma for sparing his valuable time for this insightful session. It was a pleasure to have you. I'm extremely thankful to all the attendees for being a part of this webinar and making it a great success. I would like to thank our principal, Professor Shailesh Nair sir, for his exemplary support and encouragement. I also thank our NEST Trust and our chairman, Sir Shri Bhaskar Patel, for constant motivation to all of us. Last but most important, I extend my heartiest gratitude to all my fellow mates and the technical team who are working 24/7 for this webinar. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ravi, once again.
Yeah.
Thanks
Thank
a
you,
lot, sir.
Ravi.
It was nice being there. Thank you.